Lagosians. If you are a Lagosian or you live in Lagos or you do business in Lagos, you probably want to just stick around and enjoy our conversation on Lagos State. Just a very brief one. Lagos State was created on the 27th May 1967, according to the State Creation and Transitional Provision Decree number 14 of 1967, which restructured Nigeria into a federation of 12 states. Now, Lagos State served the dual role of being the state and the federal capital until 1976. Now, when the capital of the state was moved to Ikeja, now we have a couple of developments and division that happened, geopolitical zone, southwest, and the likes of them. Now, it's a city in the Nigerian state of same name. Now, the city which is adjoining Konobashan, now is the most populous in Nigeria and most populous in the African continent. Now, it is expected that an estimate of 22 million people, between 19 and 22 million people, actually live in Lagos State. Now, Lagos State is sometimes referred to as Lagos State to distinguish it from Lagos metropolitan area. It's a state in the southwestern geopolitical zone of Nigeria. Now, let's quickly go into our conversation as we build up into it. Akinwunmi Ambode came into power about 3 years ago, and so many things were promised Lagosians that will be done. So we're going to be taking a look at every sector of the government. We would look at education, we'll look at power, we'll look at water, we'll look at road construction, and every level of infrastructure in Lagos will be very, very well scrutinized. We have two gentlemen that will be helping to talk about how far the Akinwunmi Ambode-led government has gone in Lagos State. We have a barrister that will be joining us, Mr. Akinwale Ojo. And on the phone, we have another public analyst and social commentator in person of Mr. Gbenga Onitolo. And so these two gentlemen will definitely be helping us to put our thoughts together on this particular discussion.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, fantastic. So Lagos, we have public policy analyst Gbenga Onitolo on the phone lines with us. Good morning, Mr. Gbenga.
Good morning, Tolu.
All right,
Good
great
morning,
to
Dapo.
have you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, I think I might start a little backward on this conversation because it was just recently brought to the public notice that Lagos State now has a monthly IGR of about 34 billion naira. And of course, with the fact that Lagos State has gone into all production, it said that the state now receives about 327 million naira monthly from the 13% oil derivation. Always a difficult word. Derivation. Thank you so much. That's the word that I've always stumbled on. But a lot of people would look at this and see that the fortunes of Lagos State are steadily increasing, and that there should be more money on hand in order to direct towards the area that the state might find are lacking. What do you think of this, of the good news? We're making about 34 billion naira every month from internally generated revenue, and now even the money from the oil derivation is kicking in as well. What do you think about that?
Good news. I can't feel it in my pocket. Well, it's great news, you can say, for the state in terms of the IGR shooting up. And for me, I'm not as excited about how will I put it now? A part of a segment of what economists would call a part of economic development. It's an economic activity that has increased in Lagos State in terms of levies, duties. It means you've probably expanded your your tax base, and you are generating more income. It's just an element or microcosm of what economists or the UN would term as economic development. It's just an economic activity. It's a growth increase of economic activity. So there's really nothing to be excited about for me, for what I understand. So if you are generating 34 billion monthly, and Lagos State is one of the states that we still know till date has an opaque budget. If your budget is opaque and is not open for scrutiny to know what is allocated for projects within the state that is open source, I wonder where my excitement will stand from if you are generating 34 billion. I don't know how those funds are utilized, but we can have access to federal budget, whether it's the current expenditure or capital expenditure, we still have access to it, even if it's not well utilized. So Lagos State runs an opaque budget, but they are excited about having a big idea. How does that add up?
All right, and it's interesting you bring that up because this was my next point. If you put Lagos State up against the rest of the states of the Federation here in Nigeria, they come out as the shining jewel or the crown jewel or the jewel in the crown of Nigeria. But when you get into those smaller issues of how Lagos has been able to maybe utilize some of the aquaculture around the states, utilize the ports, even, of course, with some of the things that are more federal government projects, you find that the general perception is that Lagos is a fiscal model for the other states of the Federation. But with what you just said in terms of the budget being so opaque, you start to wonder truly what exactly is going on in Lagos State. Now, we will remember earlier this year that Governor Akinwunmi Ambode signed a 2018 appropriation bill of about 1.4 trillion naira, which is the second largest in the country and the first budget of any state to cross the 1 trillion naira mark. Now, people said this was a significant increase in the funds apportioned to capital projects with an indication to plan to consolidate on previous budget. But are you one of those with, like many people, like organizations like Budget, that are sincerely concerned with the fact that we don't know exactly how much is going to what and to where and to whom? Is that such a big deal if Lagos is generating revenue, if they're getting all the aviation, if we can see some projects on the ground? Should we really be worried about that breakdown?
We should really be concerned. And you know where I have a concern is the state of our House of Assembly. It's quiet about matters like this. These are issues that the State House of Assembly, that are representatives of the people. These are the issues they should be bringing into the front burner, just like the Senate and the Federal House of Reps, bringing every line item in of the budget for public discourse, scrutiny, checking, and be sure that things are properly allocated, are rightly directed to what you're supposed to be directed at. So, another thing, you said something earlier about Lagos State, another thing. When you look at the budget of Lagos State, you are looking at a budget of about 15, close to 15 or 20 states in Nigeria, all lumped down for the 2018 budget, about 1 trillion that you just said, maybe about 10 or 15 states in Nigeria. That's the whole budget. And, you know, most times when people try to compare other states in Lagos, I said the basis for comparison is not even fair. The basis of Lagos alone generates close to about 70 or 75% of our VAT. When you look at everything, all inclusive for what all the states bring into the VAT collection, Lagos generates close to about 70 or 75% of that. So comparing Lagos to other states in Nigeria, I wouldn't say that. I would say you want to compare Lagos to other cities in the world, because Lagos is being said to be about, it's not being seen as an economy, as a nation, about one of the top five. When you say top five buoyant economies in Africa, Lagos comes into it. So I want to compare Lagos to Kigali. I want to compare Lagos to Johannesburg.
Okay.
I want to compare Lagos to Botswana. What is the Human Development Index of a state of like Lagos State? And that is how you measure governance. You don't measure governance by street lights, by having street lights, flyovers, fixing of road. You measure it by Human Developmental Index. You want to measure it by education. How many people are in school? How many public schools do you have? How many people have access to public health, public primary health? How many people have access to that? Security issues. You are looking at environmental issues like sewage disposal, refuse disposal, the things that affect quality of lives, day-to-day living, disposable income in the pocket, transportation. Those are the real issues. The issues that people bring up, well, for me, I'm not so excited about. But in Lagos, they say you want to create a smart city. You can't create a smart city when you isolate all these elements that we've talked about. And all you are focused on, fixing of roads, projects, at the end of the day, the quality of lives of the people remains the same. Just yesterday, rain fell everywhere. Look at floods everywhere. The floods don't even have where to channel it through. You know, I was listening to a discussion on the radio station yesterday, and people were talking about how people throw away garbages and all that. But for me, hello, are you there?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
But for me, I'm asking a question. Where do you go into the world that you see open gutters? You have drainages that are open all over Lagos. how will those places not be clogged? All over major cities in the world, whether it's Windhoek in Namibia that I've been to, Kenya, Kigali, you don't see open drainages. All the gutters are always covered and closed. And they have even gone far ahead. All the nylons, when you go to most of our supermarkets and malls, you get to nylon bars, plastic nylon. Those are the things they give you. In most of the cities, paper bags they now use. Something that the environment can decompose, something that can be easily recycled. So there are a whole lot of elements around governance. And I think our standards for measuring governance and performance of people in government is a bit weak. Because when we begin to get excited about IGL does not show economic development. It shows only activities, maybe taxes and levies that you generate within that society. But does that mean you have development? It's another old kettle entirely. It's only a microcosm of what economic development should be. So I'm also excited about the IGR. I want to be excited. For example, in Lagos State, we have about 18,000 primary and secondary schools. Out of that, only 1,200, about 1,200 are public schools. Only 1,200. Out of the ones that are even private, the ones that you call our private schools, do you know about 61% of those schools, you have children going to school every day paying an average of 10 naira to go to school. They pay school fees daily out of the 61%, and most of them can still not afford it. Those are the real issues Lagos State will need to deal with.
Okay, Gbenga, information in the public domain have it that the Lagos State government actually run about 49 ministries, about 44, 45 ministries. And
yeah.
I mean, you can go on and on: Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Cooperative, Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, about 44 of them working round the circle to ensure that we have a smart city. Are you saying that you have not seen any of this ministry jump at you in terms of achievements and developmental goals in the last 3 years in Lagos?
If I can't look, Dapo, as I mentioned earlier, I said we measure governance by the quality of life. They call it HDI, Human Developmental Index. And you measure it around health, the health sector. You measure it around education. You measure it around things like sewage and refuse disposal. You measure it around things like transportation. People are so excited, for example, about BRT, having bus terminals. But I will tell you something for sure, Dapo. With a population of about 25 million people, road transportation cannot solve our problem. If we don't have a rail system or metro, it cannot solve the problem of transportation in Lagos State. Those are the real issues. The primary health sector. When we were all growing up in those days, I know you have community health centers all around about you.
True.
Do you really have them right now? Even if you have them, what kind of drugs do they have? Do you even have enough doctors in Lagos State to take care? Because what we are investing our funds on are secondary health centers, not primary. That's what we should be investing primary in every community. Look at sewage disposal in Lagos State, for example. Every house creates its own sewage system. You have to dig your own personal sewage system. And do you know the impact that one even has on the environment? The impact it has on land, quite a whole lot of factors. We don't even have a central sewage system. And we're saying we're a smart city. Smart cities have all these elements that I'm talking to you about. Do you want to talk about Ethiopia? Do you want to talk about Nairobi? Do you want to talk about Botswana? I'm not even going to mention any place in the West. You want to mention about Namibia as a country. Namibia has a population of less than 2 million people. They are Windhoek, which is the state capital. Do you know Namibia has the same land mass as Nigeria? Almost the same land mass as the whole of Nigeria. So do you know this country? I've been around about the whole of that country. Do you know every road in this country, whether it's in the suburb, in the outskirts, they are all tarred? Do you know they have central sewage system? Do you know electricity never fails? You can walk around anywhere at any time of the night. Transportation, effective and efficient. These are the issues that make for a smart city. You talk about the issue of health. You talk about the issue of education. What is the average disposable income of an average Lagosian? How many of them can even? I know most of us, every 3 months, our heart is shaking for school fees, no matter how you plan. Every 3 months, our hearts are shaking. I was at a school in Windhoek. There's a school in Lagos, in the GRA, one of the best schools you have in the GRA. I won't mention the name of school. I won't give them cheap publicity. But I was in Windhoek. A public school has the same facility as that private school. The same facility, swimming pool, a public school. Dapo and Tolu. So if we don't have all these things in place, and we're saying we're a smart city, where education, for example, has now gone into the hands of the private sector. The private sector is now the one adding value in terms of making us hard, where the public institution cannot even match up in terms of facilities, in terms of leader training of teachers, competency, in terms of even the curriculum. So these are the things that make for a smart city. When you invest in education, you invest in health, you invest in things about how the environment is taken care of, transportation. These are the 4 critical things that make for quality of living, ease of living in any environment. And if our budget, the focus of governance is not around all these key areas, I don't see us creating any smart city. I just see us enriching people through projects. Now, because that's what politicians do.
So, Gbenga, let me ask. I'm going to put this to you plainly. Is there nothing in your estimation that Governor Akinwunmi Ambode has done in about 3 years that has impressed you?
Yeah.
Nothing.
For me?
Yes, for you, in your own opinion.
That's what I said. Time basis for measuring governance is different from every other person. From my own perspective, I expected something better in terms of investment in all these areas. Okay. And that is how I measure people by. I'm not going to measure you by doing overhead bridge in Ojota. Those are basic functional things local government should be doing. I'm not going to be getting excited about you fixing over 100 roads and activating them. Those are the work of local government. Let the local government take responsibility for that, and let the state government focus on these key issues I'm talking about.
Okay,
That's the work of local government. So I'm not going to get excited about a governor doing what local government should be doing.
So let's talk about some of those key issues. Now, we know that the Lagos State government has dispersed about a total of 635.5 million to over 8,000 students across the state. They also said that they acquired healthcare equipment worth about 2.5 billion, which they were using to strengthen the capacity of health facilities in Lagos State, looking to improve the Lagos State health scheme as well. The governor and the minister, they've started the ministerial press briefings. I think it's almost a month now. I don't know why they last so long. But they've been doing things in terms of the grassroots. They have the Lagos State Employment the Lagos State Employment Scheme that has been working with young people and entrepreneurs to give them access to funding and things like this. Are those not some of the human capital development initiatives that you think should be applauded in any regard?
Tolu,
I'm asking a question.
Great policies on paper, but the devil is in the detail. The question I will ask you is, what is the number of people that are even unemployed in Lagos State? Let's even start from there. How many people are truly unemployed in Lagos State? How many people are this project captured? Those are the things we want to know. How many people really have been empowered? Data is what drives things. That's why I love the MBS. When the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics talk, they talk based on numbers and statistics. And you need to give us numbers. You are talking about projects in primary and secondary school. I just gave you a statistics earlier. These things have been confirmed from DFID. Only about 1,200 public schools, whether primary or secondary, in Lagos State. The other 17,000 are private schools. A government should be the one driving education in a state, not the private sector. Government should be the one driving. Most of the people in school I remember when we were growing up, nobody even wants to send their children to private schools. If you go to private schools in those days, you even feel more inferior. That's the primary responsibility of government. But now it's been outsourced into the private sector. So we're saying, for example, Nigeria now has beaten India in the number of children that are out of school. So when we begin to break these statistics down, for a population of about 5 million people living in Lagos State, where exactly is the investment? When we say investment in education in places like Lagos or any other state in Nigeria, do you know the only thing they will focus on is we are building structures? We put the structures there. But the thing is, the teachers are not trained. They are not being well remunerated. They are not being well equipped. The facilities of the 21st century learning are not even in most of these citadels of learning. They are not even there. So if you are talking about investing in education, these are the things I need you to break down. Break them down. Break them down in terms of numbers. Let's see the impact. Let's measure growth. When you came in, these are the things we met when we came in. This is where we are. This is why we have intervened. We say we are so all these policies, like I said earlier, fantastic policies on paper. When they do town hall meetings, everybody gets excited, but the devil is in the details. Provide numbers, provide statistics, and let statistics show. That's why I said the things in Lagos State looks more too opaque. And when they do some of this, their town hall meeting, the real people that can banter you, people like budgets, civil society, you won't find them there. All you have there are politicians, people from the political parties, most of these town hall meetings. That's what town hall meetings are about all over the world. Town hall meetings are about engagement, asking practical questions, things that will put the governor in the hope of, because these are taxpayers' funds at the end of the day. It's nobody's father's money. It's nobody's father's inheritance. So, for me, practical, real issues. Provide his facts and numbers. Policies, fine. Statements, fine. But we need to see data. Data must be the only thing that will tell us how far you have gone. For a country that we don't even know the population of how many people we are, since the last time we had census was in 2006. So how do we even begin to measure the number of entrepreneurs that have benefited from this scheme? What's the number? Provide the numbers. How many entrepreneurs do you even have in Lagos? How many people are unemployed in Lagos?
Let me take you back to something you said earlier. You said for you, you would grade the governor or even any government on issues different, not on projects or flyovers and bridges, as you called it. How do we... Yeah. How do we find a way to direct the narrative or direct the conversation? So, as you said, we're not distracted by flyovers, we're not distracted by bridges, we're not distracted by boreholes, we're not distracted by renovating of hospitals. Those what many would say would be cosmetic and physical changes or improvements versus, as you said, the policy and the human capital development initiatives of the things. How do we set that conversation for the average Nigerian whose road is bad in Lagos, and when the government comes to do the road, that means I don't have to enter a pothole and my tire may not bust this week? Do you understand? Because when you have situations where a road is bad, a flyover decreases the time I spend in traffic, those become gains and they become progress to other people.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Tolu. You know what I said earlier? I said the roles of a government in a society. These are things. If local governments are empowered, these are the things local governments should be the ones celebrating, gaining mileage on, not a state governor. A state governor should be focusing more clearly on things that have to do with great policies that impact directly on the quality of lives. Those are applaudable things, but it should be in the hands of local government. But as it stands, we've killed the local government. The local government funds don't even have access to them. I think it's high time people begin to understand truly what governance is. And now the governance structure should run. The municipalities should be responsible for most of these things that we are applauding a state governor for. Those are not the things we should be applauding state governor for. Let the local government take the initiative and drive this thing. If the kind of system of government we have run, we say we have, when we are sharing the FAC every month, you will hear so amount went to the federal government, so amount went to the state government, so amount went to the local government. So the local government still has a role to play in development in our state. So let the local government, we have Etiosa, we have Koshofe, we have Badagry, Alimosho. Let the local government in those regions take responsibility for these things. And they are the ones closest to the people. Let the state government focus on things that, like some of the things I've addressed earlier, around the health sector. For example, Anike House has been there like forever, but we could launch a terminus opposite it with no bus to move people. Anike House has been there like forever.
They're renovating it.
They are still innovating. In Lagos State, do you even have a cancer treatment center in Lagos State? Cancer treatment machines in Lagos State? Do you know how many people are dying daily of cancer in Lagos? Some of them have to fly to India. Some of them have to go to other parts of the world. Some of them have to go to other states in the country, maybe in Abuja, to go get treatment. These are the real issues, Tolu. I'm not saying there are no milestone achievements in terms of the value add it gives to people in those communities. But if we are truly practicing governance, the state government should not be applauded for street lights, which is a community provincial government responsibility, not overhead bridges, not fixing of roads that we're so fixated on. Everybody seems to be fixated on fixing roads. And when they fix roads, we clap for them. What else would you vote? Why did we vote for them in the first place? Let them focus on things that are about human development. Those are the real issues I want to applaud Ambode for.
Okay.
Not those elements you've mentioned.
Now, Mr. Gbenga, Akinwale Ojo is joining us in the studio. He's a lawyer, and he's also going to share his thoughts. I know coming in, you were probably able to listen to the conversation, and even now you've heard Gbenga tell us he's not particularly impressed with the Ambode administration and for Nigerians to applaud him or Lagosians to applaud him on roads and bridges. He doesn't think that's the true definition of what a governor or an administration that administers a state should be applauded for. What are your thoughts? Just your initial thoughts as we go for a break. The Governor Akinwunmi Ambode administration, 3 years in, we're looking at transportation, road fixing, housing, refuse disposal, taxation, security. Just give us your score, 1 to 10, and go from there.
Well, I'm not just going to use the figure, but when we look at it, I share some things he said. But when we look at it objectively, because the kind of administration generally we are running in Nigeria, that the local government is being relegated behind, and for the state government to take it up, at least to me, it is a good thing. But it's just that we can advise them to be able to know that this is third tier government, and the devolution of powers as provided in the Constitution should be adhered to, and that will make the pressure to be reduced from government in doing all these projects that we're talking about. But generally to the people, it is something that is a welcome idea, and it has reduced the burden because you can easily move, like going towards where Ajaz Aziz, and it's easier for me to go through the bridge. And because that place is it's a problem zone before. Now you can target your time and said, okay, because of the bridge, which has eased the traffic in that area. It's still, to me, is good, but it's because of the type of administration we are running in Nigeria that this one's supposed to be. All these minor roads, lightning, as he said, supposed to be what the local government should be doing as a third-tier government. But because the way the administration is being run in the past, and it is not easy to just change it immediately. It behoves on the state to take it up and do that. So to me on that, and the way it is distributed, I love that. It's not just one-sided. We have development in Ekpe going on, in Ikorodu is going on, in Alimosho area is going on. So it's balancing. So it's not that it's favoring one side to the other. I know some areas that they can't even link with each other, and which the present administration is able to do. But as he said, it's not, if it is proper, the government is properly run, it's not something that the state should embark upon. And this is a distraction because it makes it a little bit impossible, overwhelming for the state government to be able to do other projects which ordinarily supposed to be the major focus of the state. And in the areas of waste disposal, and Lagos State is now turning to the dirtiest state from what it used to be in the past few years. And the reason is that this present administration has a better idea, but implementation is very bad, because you can't change a existing system unless you know that the new system you are bringing in is going to pick up immediately. So that's the problem.
You
and
said
that
it's
is
a better system.
Yes, because on paper. If you look at
a better system
on paper, you will see that it's a system, but implementation, the phases of implementation, it is a wise man will not change things unless you have an alternative. You cannot be removing a structure, maybe a pillar, from a building because you want to renovate without having a reinforcement. But if you are knocking it, you will see that it will crack. And that's the problem that is happening now. The vision scope if you look at it, Visionscape, if you see it on paper, the procedure, everything is beautiful, laudable. But in the implementation, when you are removing, you said, okay, this system go, and the other system cannot take off immediately. That is the problem. You know that in the system that is being in place before, every operators, they control each area. Now you are now bringing a system that will control everything together. You know, it's going to be problematic unless you are doing it face by face, faces by faces.
And then
and you don't think that it is a problem on the part of government that they do not understand how Lagos runs?
Cannot recognize the loopholes and the issues.
That is it. When you underestimate things, because the waste disposal, generally you see is not to carry waste, but if you look at the operation, and that's the reason consultation, this government, the problem they're having is that they did not consult very well. And you can see issue of taxation. If you see the history of taxation, people don't want to pay tax easily. It's like slavery, like master-servant, because there is no coordination. If there is a coordination between the governance and the people, the government and the people, and you will see that there will be no, when we know this is what you want to do, and we'll be able to contribute that this is the way it is going. You can see the problem of land use charge. I was there shouting about it. The NBA went out protesting about it because of the reality on ground. What they want to do, aggressive ways of revenue generation, and you cannot kill the people. In order, you say you want development for us, and you cannot kill us for the development you want us to enjoy. So that means that you are bringing hardship for us to enjoy. It is not done that way. It should be something that we'll be ready for, and it will gradual something. You can see 400% increase. And that's the reason people have started shouting. And I love the way the government picked it that time. Okay, let us do it. But it's not the best answer. But suppose they consulted the right people, not just consulting those who are consultants, who will just give them, because they know what they want to gain. And they will not advise the government very well. But if you consult people who are directly going to be affected, like I have estate, people have not taken it, and then you are actually increasing, I'm paying for nothing, I'm not generating. But because you say it's commercial, I prepared for commercial, it has not started generating money, you say I should be paying. So all those things, consultation, then issue of housing, policy of the government, the past policy is affecting. Government is not building. Individual that will do it. The land policy
makes
it difficult. You don't even know which land is free. You don't know which land is available. Again, those who are traditional owners that we call Omonile generally, and you see, this is their land. And then some other communities, Lagos, Agege area, they develop. And those who are landowner there, they were able to enjoy the benefit of being landowner. But some areas now, coming from here down to Ekpe, they don't even know what they have. Government is now taking everything, giving it to individual. A lot of litigation, which is overwhelming to the judiciary.
But I know that in this regard of Omonile, the Lagos state government, I think about 2 years ago, set up a committee for land grabbers and Omonile issues. And then they also said late last year that they were going to be launching a website that if you wanted to buy land in Lagos state, you could go to the website to go and find out if the land was under litigation, who held the certificates of occupancy, if it was a piece of land that you could buy. Aren't those some of those initiatives, and Gbenga, also for you, some of those policies that could be useful in addressing land issues here in Lagos? Gbenga, quickly answer before we come back to Akinwale.
Well, I think it will be a great achievement if we can have that. That exists also in the United Kingdom. That when you want to buy any land, you can actually check and track things online. You don't have to be on ground. So how we're going to make that possible with the barbarism around land grabbing and land ownership in Lagos State. How we're going to make that effectively work on ground is what I think there's still going to be a challenge. People right now are still having issues with land grabbing with Omonile as we speak till today, even though there is a bill in place. We're very good, like I said earlier, with policies, great policies, but implementation is where we are always weak. Enforcement and implementation. So if this website can actually come up to capture all these things, I'm still wondering how it's going to happen. I'm wondering really, Lola.
What do you think? Because one of Gbenga's grouses has been beyond building the bridges and the cosmetic things, the policies that the state should put in place. And both of you are in agreement that bridges and roads are local government initiatives and that the state should focus on higher level things, higher level intelligence and thinking to move the state forward. So policies like the Omanile Committee and the website, aren't those good policies that we should be able to applaud the Ambode administration for?
Well, it's a good policy, but first thing, government too should look inward. Because if you look at the land grabbers, I would see government too as part of the land grabbers. Because you see a land, if you are acquiring a land, you are acquiring the land for a specific project. But it's in Lagos that you will see the land, everything committed. What's the meaning of committed? It's not there in the land in the Land Use Act. He said acquired. You have a project. This is for hospital. This is for police station. This is for schools. You have a specific project. But government will just say committed. At the end of the day, government you will see issuing certificates to others. So if Omonile cannot have their own land, and then strangers is coming to own that land, and I will see that it is even government too is involved in this issue, because the government want to make the money, take land from Omonile, give it to another. At that issue, if there is lawlessness from government part, Omonile too will be lawless, and other people will be lawless. And that's the reason I say that the government should be able to tell us, we want this area for this. This is area for this development. This area, okay, you can have this development. This is what you will pay to the government. We will know that one too is generating. We know what is, and that's what we said, that we should be able to check even from our house and know that this is what is happening. The government, this present administration will not do that, because those who are their backbone too are involved in this land issue. And the land issue in Lagos State has become something very, those are the things I believe that this present administration should look at, that they will do things different from the way it has been done by the past administration, and which will make housing easier. Once people will have money to buy land, to build houses, and to be able to even reduce the rent issue. And because you are not sure, you rather use your money and then, do other things. And that means that the housing problem, housing issue, that government itself has overburdened projects. Yeah. And now to add accommodation to it will be, now individual cannot do that, because we are not sure of where I can get a land that will be secure. So that's it.
Okay, let's take a quick break for some bills. When we come back, we've talked about housing, we talked about waste management, land use charge has come up. Security was a very big issue for this governor when he first came in. Exactly. There were a number of car break-ins and hijackings and issues on the road. But also, Otodogbami, you talk about the issue of making Lagos a city or a state for everyone. And there were injunctions and court orders. And some of these things are what many people have considered own goals for the administration. And then you mentioned, Gbenga, the State House of Assembly. What role do they play in keeping administrations and state governors on their feet? We'll look at all of that when we come back, and also take a few comments on WhatsApp and Facebook as well. So Lagos, stick around. Gbenga, please stay on the phone line. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Ojay Andrews, and I run the SME show on 99.3 Nigeria Info every Monday at 10 a.m. You see, every second Monday of the month, we have what we call the Pitch It Mondays, where if you're an entrepreneur, you have a business idea, but you need investment into your business, you're able to pitch it to investors who will be with me in the studio. You'll be able to pitch your ideas in 45 seconds or less. And if you can catch their attention, you get the critical investment you need into your business. So rehearse what you're going to say, make sure you're able to catch their attention in 45 seconds or less. You might get that investment into your business.
Hi guys, my name is Tolu and I currently host Morning Crossfire. I'm here to tell you that you have to get your PVC. Your permanent voter's card is your power. And in your hand, you hold the power to make any necessary change that you want in Nigeria. Please participate, because elections are not the end of democracy and governance. The highest office in the land is the office of the citizen. You and I are citizens of Nigeria. Get your PVC. Your PVC, your voice.
Hi, I'm Tunji Andrews, and this is 1,000 Naira notes. To some people, this represents a meal, or a few bottles of beer. To other people, this is 4 units of Dangote Cement shares, or 21 units of GT Bank stock, or the startup capital needed to start that pure water business. Whoever you are and whatever your needs might be, we have you covered on the Money, Business and Economy Show on 99.3 Nigeria Info, weekday mornings at 9 a.m. 'Cause it's not really the amount of money that matters. It's usually what you do with it. Cheers.
You are still tuned into the nation's #1 talk news and sports station. It's the Breakfast News Digest on the nation's #1 talk news and sports station. Gbenga, do we still have you with us?
I'm still with you.
Fantastic. And we also have Akinwale Ojo in the studio with us. Let's take a few comments on our Facebook, and don't forget, through all of our conversations, you can watch live on Facebook. And we'll just take this. Dominic says, human wants are unsatiable. No matter what is that what he wrote? He wrote unsatisfiable, but I helped him. Human wants are unsatisfiable. No matter what you do, there will always be complaints. Zadika says, please, Lagos is over dirty. Ambode should do something about it. And what is it about Visionscape going about with siren trucks? Should we make way because they're in a rush to clear or dump dirt later after that? Mickey Igwe says, we can achieve this if we're able to unite our target of 1 million middle class. I'm not sure. Okay, I think he's selling something. I'm not looking for people who's selling. Femi Taiwo simply says he's just doing fine. Someone says, a few people say you're on point. Ola says we're all just complaining. Bodozi Emeka says, I really want to agree with your caller. However, some of the things were available during the past administration, but Governor Ambode didn't take these things important, and the continuity we voted for in Lagos State never happened. For me, his scorecard is poor and can't be compared to previous administrations. Let's talk about that a little bit before we go on. A lot of people did believe that from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Fashola and then Ambode, a continuity in Lagos State would achieve much more, much faster, and the state would continue to grow. But a lot of people now, with the third year of the Ambode administration, feel that some of that continuity may have been lost in the pipeline. Do you think that may have affected the ability of the administration to perform more? In a way, seeing what we do as we have in Nigerian politics, you come in and you want to put your own stamp on things, not necessarily carry on with projects that may have been left over. Gbenga, let me start with you.
I think part of the challenge of governance in Nigeria is when people come in, whether as president or state governor, whatever, there's this rock star mentality. They forget that governorship and all that governance is not about them; it's about the people. So when you come in and there are policies in place or projects in place that you have done, because before you come in or when you come in, you need to do your own SWOT analysis. You do a SWOT analysis of what is working, what is not working, what needs to be improved upon. And because governance is a continuum, you take up all those things, whether the immediate, for example, if you go throughout the whole of Lagos now, you know this beautification project, the Green Lagos initiative under Fashola is almost as dead now.
Yes.
My office is at Mobalaji Pankantoni Way. And if you look at all the way from Maryland all the way to Ikeja, all those grasses are like brown with weeds all over. You know, during the time of Babatunde Fashola, you will see these things being watered and groomed daily. If you go all the way to Ojota, go to Yanaworo, go to Ojota, all these things have been abandoned. And these things have an impact on the environment. Green Lagos is supposed to be about creating a conducive environment for people to live in. So it's beyond just a Fashola thing. It's a project that is supposed to add value to the people. Also look at the one of the refuse initiative where Loma was the one driving everything. Loma was effective, Loma was efficient until we came in with another grandiose agenda of visionscape. Till date, have not been able to get their act together to sort out the rubbish bins that are growing all over the whole of Lagos State. So when an average person comes in, it's a rock star mentality. I must sell myself. I must do my own thing. And you have a lot of advisors coming with all sort of proposals of new things to be done, where we have things that are existing that needs to be improved upon. Like the lawyer rightly said, you want to take down the pillar of the building. When you have not created an alternative pillar for renovation, the whole thing is going to come crashing down. And that's why we have had problems with refuse collection till date in Lagos State. So if there are things that are working, focus on them, enhance them, make them. If there are things that are not working, maybe you cut them off or find a way to improve them. But the thing is this, no one must come into governance with this rock star mentality and ego trip. It's all about the people.
All right. Akinwale, your thoughts on this, because sadly we're running out of time.
Yes, it is a big problem in Nigerian politics because instead of people to know that government is a continuity and what they want to do, this is my administration, I achieved this. A lot of waste. Projects have been abandoned. Even look at the motor park at Oshodi. That place was beautifully built for recreation center. A lot of billions of naira went in there. I was just mad when I saw everything pulled down. Nothing again, no trees. All the flowers groomed, the trees groomed, already gone. Nothing again there. So another project and another one will come. And look at it, who is advising the government? And if any local government want to challenge it and go to court and say that, okay, government, federal government, state government will finish, and they will go. Maintenance of motor park is in the constitution by local governments. Why do we go on spending money on things that we know we could not be able to see? The next government cannot continue that way. So I want this government to stop all these projects that are wasteful. Look at what's within the constitution. Look at the framework. Look at what you can do. Look at the existing things that is working. The 1 hour to make it perfect, so that you will not waste money or time. Or before it take off again, people are feeling the pains, and next you bring in another government again, cause another pain. So that is the reason government, as he said, is continuity. You cannot just say about the mentality, it is my administration, I introduce this. Oh, it is his administration, I make it better. It doesn't change away. It's Lagos State. It is governance. And that is what I want the government to look at, so that we will not be wasting resources in coming with a project. Then another project, you will see that project last administration started a project that they did not complete. You see the rail project is still there. It's a big money. and it's still hanging there. We are not using it. The money that will have gone into another project is tied down in that place. This government too is starting another thing. And that policy, before you do things, do it gradually. Start a project, some area, and said, once it works here, we move to another area. Before this one that is working perfectly here, another areas or another local government we've not tested it, those local government will be continue with what they have before. Then before you know everything, your administration cannot finish it, but you have those one that is working successfully in one area. But when you want to do everything at the same time, it will be very, very. I can divert the ocean to some area, but I said I want to move the whole ocean. You know, everywhere will be flooded.
Okay, so over 10.
Yeah, quickly over 10. Looking at everything, transportation, security, education, all of it, over 10.
Over 10. Lagos State is like Barcelona.
We say over 10. Yes. We can tell you're a lawyer. Over 10.
Any coach can do well there. But to me, I will still, there is a lot to be done.
Over 10.
I'll give them 4.
Hey, Gbenga, over 10.
I'll give them 3.
Man, you know when we talked about President Muhammadu Buhari's administration on Monday, no administration in conversations we've had has scored over 5 at all. And I don't know what that says about our system in general, but I think it's something we need to think about. All right, a very big thank you to our guest, Gbenga Onitolo, joining us on the phone lines, public policy analyst as well as lawyer in the studio with us, Akinwale Ojo. It's a continuous conversation, especially as we know the administration will soon find itself put up with its scorecard against those who believe they can make Lagos better as we enter closer into the election season. So this conversation will continue in different ramifications. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Lagos, it is just past 9 o'clock. We're going straight into the headline news. And right after that, it's the Money, Business, and Economy Show. Do stay with us.